you, Nissan and the Kula B'Yachad program, which is an incredible program. Hopefully it will just take off and explode. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of unfamiliar faces, but all Jews, so we're going to rock it. Before we start, this shiur tonight is Refuah Shalema Mira Malka Bat Tamar. She should have a speedy recovery. Bizchut the Torah learning we're going to learn tonight. And we should all have that in mind. Now, I'll just share with you an interesting story that happened to me on the way here. I just can't resist, even though it probably has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about. So I got New Jersey Turnpike. Do I wear this over here? I got pulled over on the New Jersey Turnpike on the way here because I was speeding. Yeah, we do that once in a while. And the officer pulled me over, and for some reason these cops, they have this thing that they ask, like, where are you going? As if they're really interested, like, where am I going? So I said, you know, I'm actually going to Fresh Meadows, Queens to teach, to talk to a bunch of young kids, to a bunch of young fellas about July 4th and the message that we should take out of it. And he asks me, so what are you teaching? I wasn't expecting that. So I had around 10 seconds to try to get out of my ticket. What am I going to say? So it's amazing how Hashem puts the right thing in your mind at the right time, right? It's unbelievable. And I'm very into short little quotes throughout my life. You know, the little quotes are the things that make the biggest impressions. And I said, you know, officer, what I'm trying to teach them in a nutshell is that the road to success has no speed limits. And he said, Rabbi, I'll issue you a warning. Go get there on time and have fun. So that's pretty much what we're going to discuss tonight, is that, you know, for those of you that are celebrating July 4th tomorrow, for those Americans around the world that are barbecuing, partying, having a beer, it's all about partying. And, you know, what is the motto of July 4th written in the Declaration of Independence, for those that know what that is over here, right? What's the American motto? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What's interesting is that in 2 weeks from now, the Jewish people are going to be experiencing the saddest day in our calendar, Tisha B'Av, the destruction of the temple, which as a result of that, all the calamities and all the tzarot that came about the Jewish people for the past 3,000 years is a result of the destruction of the temple. And the sages tell us, why was the temple destroyed? Why are we still suffering 3,000 years later? What do the sages tell us? Sinat chinam, baseless hatred, that we're, in short, unable to get along with the people that annoy us. Not our friends, those are easy to get along, but unable to get along with the people that just don't fit of who we are. So what do these 2 days have in common? What does July 4th and Tisha B'Av have in common? That's not a joke. Right? What does July 4th and Tisha B'Av have in common? So I want to share with you tonight, for the few moments that we have, two ideas that for me have been life-changing, and I think hopefully we'll walk away with some powerful messages that we can take away from July 4th and from Tisha B'Av. And that is the following. You know, Tisha B'Av is all about partying, having a beer, grilling, friends, family. July 4th. July 4th. Tomorrow. What'd I say? Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av. God forbid. July 4th is all about partying. You know, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, tells us in Proverbs, in Mishle, he says something astonishing. He gives us the trick, he gives us the advice how to make your whole entire life a party. I kid you not. And I'm not paraphrasing, I'll tell you the words. King Solomon, the wisest of all men, tells us, here is the trick to have your whole entire life a party. And I'll quote the verse in Mishle, in Proverbs, that he says. Ready for this? Tov lev mishteh tamid. What that means in English, fellas, is one who has a good heart. Tov lev mishteh tamid. His whole life is a party. In Hebrew, a party is a mishteh. Why is a party called a mishteh? For the boys in the room, what do we do at parties? We drink. That's why in Hebrew, the word for a party is mishteh. So King Solomon here is telling me, you want to make your whole life a party? Mishteh tamid tov lev. Develop what is called a good heart. Now, before we discuss what a good heart is, what is the advantage of a party? Was King Solomon, was Shlomo HaMelech really into partying the whole day? Was he like part of a fraternity? Was he just why is he giving us an advice of how to have your whole life as a party? I mean, that's not exactly what one of the holiest and wisest of all men was into. Let me ask you fellas, from a raise of hands, when you're in good spirits, no pun intended, when you're in a good mood and you wake up that morning and everything seems to be going great, you're in a good mood. Anybody have those days? You just wake up, the sun is shining, things are going great, you're in a good mood, the bills are paid, your wife is smiling, the kids are happy, everything is going great. Anybody ever have those days? Adam, you never had those days? Come on. Once upon a time you had those days. Now, on that day, is it easy being kind and nice to other people? Is it easy complimenting other people? Is it easy maybe even going out of your way to do something good for somebody? When a person feels upbeat, really good about himself, when a person's at a party, everything's going great, there's beer to no ends, there's food, no worries. When a person's in that state of mind, a mishteh, what is the advantage of that? The advantage of that, when you're in that state of mind, it is very, very, very easy to be really nice to people. It takes a lot more to tick you off. It takes a lot more to get you frustrated. It takes a lot more to really get you in a bad mood, because when things are going good, it's very easy to be nice to other people. By a show of hands, anybody ever wake up sometime in their life where you just had the bad day? You know, it's raining outside, it's cold, you don't really want to go to work, you got a ton to do, the kids are crying, you're just not in the mood. Anybody have those days? Nobody? Just me? Now, on a day like that, how hard is it to put on a smile and to greet people, say, "Good morning, how you doing?" to the security guard? How hard is it to go out of your way to do something for somebody? And how easy is it to get frustrated and annoyed at the colleague that is just annoying? Very easy. So here's the trick, fellas. I'm going to teach you a very deep secret that our sages tell us, but that's not often discussed. Before Tisha B'Av, you'll hear many rabbis that get up and speak about sinat chinam, hatred. And they'll say you got to work on yourself about doing good to other people. Go out of your way to be nice to people. Compliment people. Do chesed, kindness. Here's the trick. We can talk from today till tomorrow about being good to people and being nice to people. But what may seem to be counterintuitive is that the biggest trick to getting yourself in the mode of being nice and going out of your way and being kind-hearted to people is if you are happy yourself. If a person is happy with himself, if a person is in that mood that he's just, the sun is shining and things are going great and he's rolling up his sleeves and he's about to conquer the world, if a person is in that state of mind, it's very, very easy being nice to people. So here's the key. Rule number one. You want to abolish sinat chinam, and you may be thinking to yourself, oh, I don't have sinat chinam. I'm not the type of guy to hate people. We all have people in our lives that rub us the wrong way. We all have people in our lives that we're just sometimes not in the mood of being with. We ignore their phone calls. You want to be that person that abolishes sinat chinam. You want to be that person that goes out of their way to do good for people. You want to be that person that smiles at people. You want to be that guy or girl that is known to be the person that does chesed. Where does it start from? If you are a happy person yourself, if you are a person that wakes up in the morning and you feel really, really good, everything else trickles and flows from that. So Shlomo HaMelech is telling us the golden rule. You want to make your whole life a party? What's the advantage of making your whole life a party? Because when you're living a life as a party, it is so easy and so accessible to be the greatest human being possible. It is so easy to be nice to other people, to compliment other people. What's the key, says Shlomo HaMelech? How do you make your life a party? Tov lev, develop a good heart. What is a good heart? A term we hear, it's thrown around very often to have a good heart. What does it mean, a good heart? So the Zohar tells us, you know what a good heart means? I'm going to tell you, can we learn a little Kabbalah here tonight, just for one minute? If you ever want to know the true essence of a word, you go to the place that it's mentioned first in the Torah. The first time that word is mentioned in the Torah, That defines the essence of what that word really means. Anybody know the first time the word tov, good, is mentioned in the Torah? Good, that's a start. Very good. Bereshit. Let's get a little more descriptive. In the first day of creation. Great. What was created the first day of creation? Light. It says, Vayar Elokim et ha'or ki tov. God saw the light and it was good. Says the sages. The first time it says tov is in reference to light. What is light? Light allows you to see the big picture. You walk into a dark room, you can only see little objects, you can only see certain things, but when you put on the light, you're able to see the bigger picture. Says the Zohar, do you know what it means to have a tov lev? To be able to see the good in every situation. Every situation in life, every person in life, every place we find ourselves, there's always two perspectives. We can narrow in and zoom in on the negative, and we can focus on the positive. And you could be a person that wears one or two glasses in life. You could always focus and look at what's going wrong and what could be better, or you could focus on what is amazing. 2 weeks ago, I was at a wedding in Florida, and I sat near a guy on the plane. And he was telling me all about his vacation in Florida. He's got his family that was sitting in the back. And he's going on and he's talking about his itinerary. He's going here the first day, he's going here the second day. And he's living a life of Riley's. Things are going great. Then we get to the rental car company. Sixth rental car company in Fort Lauderdale. They never use Sixth rental car company, by the way. It's the only rental car company. It's off-site in the airport. They don't tell you that. Anyway, we get to Sixth rental car company. And he's in front of me waiting for his rental car. And the look on his face when the lady came back, his jaws dropped and he blew a fit. Why'd he blow a fit? Because he ordered, ready for this? This is the thumb. In Lakewood, we're very into the thumb. Anybody not know where the thumb is? Right? He ordered a full-size car and they gave him a mid-size car. And he didn't buy it. He was upset. He was screaming at his wife, how can they do this to us? We ordered a full-size car, not a mid-sized car, and his kids started crying. Everybody started being in a mad mood. I called him over. I'm like, Bob, I had a whole schmooze with him on the plane. I'm like, Bob, you're on a vacation with your family. 5 days in Florida. How many people in this country could even afford a 5-day vacation in Florida with their family? Everything's set up. Your hotel, your jet skiing, your trip to Orlando. Why are you ruining it over a mid-sized car, for crying out loud? And he says, you know, Rabbi, you're right. And immediately his tone changed. But that's the story of our life. We as human beings are wired to always focus on what could be going better, what's going wrong. We lack the ability to focus on how much good we really have. What is really going amazing? A tov lev is the ability to look at every situation, look at every person. This is situations, people, it's the story of our life. You know, for the married ones in the room, I won't look at anybody in specific. Let me tell you something. I just had my 10th anniversary on Sunday. I have an amazing, amazing marriage for my wife that may be watching this video. Everything is great. 4 children, still like loonyweds, right? You will never, ever, ever find a spouse that has 100% what you want and what you need. Perfect people don't exist. And if you think you're perfect, that's an imperfection itself. Perfect people don't exist. I know people, God forbid, that left their spouse for the 20% that they don't have, to find the person for the 20% that their spouse was missing. We're always wired on focusing. So my wife is an amazing mom, a great friend. She's got a personality, but she stinks as a cook. And he's all upset every time he comes home from work. And he's all trying to change her and he's trying to why don't you focus on what you have? You got an amazing wife, an incredible mother, a best friend, personality. So she doesn't know how to cook, learn how to cook. Don't try to change people. And we just focus. We focus. Human beings are wired. You speak to the scientists. I had a whole discussion with a scientist from Rutgers last year, and he's explaining to me, I had this whole talk with him, and scientifically this is true, because as animals, as human animals that they call us, we're built to survive, and for survival skills, you always have to focus on what's going wrong. So as human beings, we're wired and we're always focusing on what could be better. But as Jews and as real human beings, to really get the good out of life, if you want to develop a tov lev, if you want to get a good heart, you want to have your whole life as a party, my friends, it doesn't have to be only July 4th. It doesn't only have to be when you're wasted because you drank 8 beers. Every day of your life can be that mindset where you wake up in the morning and things are going great. Just this morning, I woke up, my daughter comes into the room, Daddy, it's such a hot day today. What am I going to do? I hate being hot. I wait, say, yeah, 9-year-old girl crying. It's understandable. I'm like, Rena, you're alive. What about the blind girl in your camp that can't see? Or the girl in a wheelchair that can't walk? Or the girl that has kidney failure, that can't even eat any sugar or candy? You can see the beauty of the world, you can hear the music, you can dance, you can flex your fingers, you can live, you can smile, you can sing. So you're hot. Okay. Why don't we focus on what we do have? You know, that is the point of a bracha. The Jews have a mitzvah every day to make how many blessings? 100 blessings. Now, most students I speak to is, Rabbi, 100 blessings the Torah wants from us? Torah doesn't request. God is not asking us to make 100 blessings. He's giving us the greatest piece of advice, because when you make a blessing, you turn life into a blessing. A blessing, a bracha, is you take a few moments out of your day and you say, thank you, Hashem, for giving me eyesight. How many of us in this room woke up and really focused on the bracha, the fact that we're able to see? I watched a video on YouTube the other day about a guy who was colorblind. And they just developed these new glasses that enable people to see in color. And he puts these glasses on and he starts crying bitterly out of happiness. Now we can see the world in color. How many of us in the room ever woke up in the morning and thanked Hashem that we're able to see the world in color as opposed to black and white? One in the room, not me. After I saw that video, I did it for one day. But we take it for granted. But then the second things are going wrong, that's when we notice it, right? We take all the goodness we have in life that's all there for granted. Anybody ever flew Spirit Airlines? Thank God you landed, right? Now, Spirit Airlines, I flew numerous times. I think they charge extra to get a seat. You got to bring your own folding chair. You're very thankful if you land. Now, not to put down no lashon hara in front of an aron, but Spirit Airlines, great. You want to hear a fascinating statistic? Terrible. They actually are terrible. They're horrific. Spirit Airlines has the least amount of complaints than any other airline, according to the Better Business Bureau. You don't know that? Google it. No way. You tell me no way. What's your name? Manny. Spirit Airlines has the least amount of complaints than any other airline in the airline industry. Now, could anybody figure out why? Exactly. If you land, you are thankful. Okay? You don't even need your luggage. Forget about luggage. I don't need any drinks. If I land, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world because I paid $18.99 for a round trip ticket to Florida. I don't expect anything more. But if you pay $3,000 for a first class ticket on American Airlines to Greece and Nebuch, the poor old man next to you, is snoring a little, then you're writing letters to the CEO, you want a refund, then your whole vacation is ruined. What's the difference? Expectations. When we expect things and we think things should be going our way and they're not, we are upset, we are sad. Here's the key, my friends. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of what you make of it. It has nothing to do with what happens to you. It's all a matter of what glasses you wear. And if we wake up in the morning focusing on the good Making the brachot. The brachot aren't obligations. You know the word halacha. What does the word halacha mean?
Laws.
Wrong. I knew you were going to say that. It means laws, correct.
Go.
It means to go. Exactly. Halicha means to go. The laws are not laws if you want to go through life the right way. Not just living, not just surviving, but living a life of vitality, of happiness. That's what the laws are. When God gives us the law to make 100 blessings, He's not giving us a law. Jew, make 100 blessings. No. He's saying you want to go through life being happy? Take a few moments out of your day making 100 blessings, because that's 100 times a day where you stop and focus and make a blessing on life. Your life becomes a blessing. That's what it is. And all too often, if not always, who takes the time out to stop? And even if we make brachot, we all made a bracha over here on the soda. Boom. Do we even focus on what we're saying? Thank you, Hashem, for giving us the soda. I mean, who in the world has soda? You go to Somalia and they travel 3 miles just to get drinking water. But we're complaining that it's cherry 7-Up and not regular 7-Up, right? That's a story of life. And it's a story of people. The relationships that we're in. We can focus on the negativity. We can focus on what they're lacking. And we can focus on the positivity in everybody. In everybody. So rule number 1, if you want to say anything over by your July 4th barbecue, this is where Thomas Jefferson, with all due respect, got it wrong. Happiness is not a pursuit. You don't have to pursue happiness. We all have it. It's just changing your perspective. Because to view happiness as pursuing, meaning you're not there yet. You got to go travel. And when I make this million, when I get that job, and when I marry that trophy wife, and when she learns how to cook, and when my wife and when my kids get 100 on the test, and you fill in the blanks, then I'll be happy. If that's your mindset in life, good luck. Ain't never going to happen. Happiness is not a pursuit. It's a state of mind. What is it? Is this the Torah perspective? Absolutely. Where in the Torah does it say the most important thing is to be happy? This is not fluff, fellas. This is straight up black and white in the Torah. That the most important thing is to be happy. Anybody want to guess? In one of the most somber, depressing portions of the Torah, where it discusses the tochachot, the curses. Whatever that means, that's for a different time, maybe when I come back. What does it mean, the curses? But it discusses all the calamities and the destruction that are going to befall the Jewish people. The Torah says one reason why it happened. Now, if I ask you, the Torah is going to say, these terrible things are going to be happening. There's going to be hunger. There's going to be genocide. There's going to be killings. There's going to be starvation. Why is it happening to you guys? What's Hashem going to say? What do you think? If you were God, how would you fill in the blank, Adam? It's a nice game to play if you were God, theoretically speaking.
You can appreciate the good things in life.
Okay. So you can appreciate the good things in life. What about if these things are happening because you did something wrong? What would that wrong thing be? Maybe I would say like idolatry, adultery, murder. You got to be doing something really bad for the Holocaust, the Spanish Inquisition to happen. These are terrible calamities. Why is Hashem saying it happened? Anybody know the verse? Tachat asher lo avadata Hashem b'simcha. Because you didn't serve Hashem. It doesn't say you didn't serve Hashem. You served Hashem. Because you didn't serve Hashem b'simcha u'b'tov levav. You didn't serve Hashem with happiness. Why is that so important? Because getting back to what we started with. When you are happy and you feel good about yourself and everything is going good, you can roll up your sleeves and conquer the world. Nothing. The sky is the limit. We're confident. You're smiling at people. Things don't go your way. That's fine. I'm living the life of a dream. When you're happy, it's so easy to be good to people. It's so easy to be good to yourself. It's so easy to do mitzvot. It's so easy to do things. But when a person is down in the dumps and feels dirty and feels upset and feels things aren't going good and feels depressed, you can hear talks from rabbis from today till tomorrow about mitzvot, about chesed, about sinat chinam. It just don't work. Because if a person doesn't feel good and happy inside, very, very difficult to do anything. So this happiness thing is not just a nice talk. It is from the foundations of Judaism. Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, says King David. Serve Hashem with happiness. Rule number one in happiness, fellas, is change your perspective, because life is not the pursuit of happiness. You all have it. Every single one of us has it. If we can, if I may, you'll forgive me, but because it's July 4th, you'll indulge me in quoting the very first president of our country, George Washington, said a beautiful quote that I have hanging in my fridge. I think I have it hanging in my fridge. It's here. Those who have not yet learned the secret of true happiness, begin now with the little things in your own backyard. Means if you're trying to find happiness, start with the little things in your backyard. You're healthy. If you're not healthy, you're healthier than a lot of other people. You got a family. If you don't got a family, you got friends. If you don't have friends, spend 5 minutes a day. Write the list. It's worth it. It'll change your life. You know, I got a friend that called me up yesterday. He's trying to fly to Minneapolis. Then he got delayed 4 hours. He's all upset. He's crying to me on the phone. Zevi, I got delayed. I'm here. I have a 7 o'clock flight. It's 11 o'clock. I'm like, Shmuel, why'd you get delayed? He's like, we were on the plane and they called us on the microphone that there's engine problems, so we got to get off the phone. I'm like, Shmuel, would you be happier if they discovered the engine problems while you're in mid-flight? There's two ways of looking at things. It's just a matter of perspective. That's what it's about. So rule number one, happiness is not a pursuit, it's a state of mind, and the way we achieve it is changing our perspective, changing our glasses. You know, there's 3 people cutting stones. You go over to those 3 people, one person says, you ask the guy, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just cutting stones. You ask the second guy, what are you doing? I'm making a living, that's what I do for a living. I'm supporting my family. Okay, this guy's a little more intuitive. He asked the third guy, what are you doing? I see you're cutting stones. It's like, I'm building a palace. 3 people doing the same things. 3 different perspectives. Nebuch, the lights went off. Thank God all the lights didn't go off. Right? We still have light. There's always 2 ways of looking at things. Sometimes 3 ways of looking at things. That is happiness. So that's life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. We got the happiness. All right. What's liberty? What does liberty mean? Freedom. What is freedom? So again, we go back to the Torah. What is the American concept of freedom? Do what you want. Lay on the beach in a hammock with a pina colada. Life is good. Life is free. Land of the free, home of the brave. What is the Torah's perspective of freedom? And it's interesting, you know, we just a few months ago had Pesach, which is the Jewish concept of the Jews went free. There's 2 words in the Torah. This is going to be a little deep over here, but just follow through because it's not that long. There's 2 words in the Torah for freedom. Now, here's the trick. Anytime there's 2 words in the Hebrew language that may seem to have the same translation, intrinsically have 2 completely different meanings. Because Hebrew is not like English. There's no, synonyms. If there's 2 different words, they mean 2 different things. So, there's 2 words for freedom. When a slave goes free in the Torah, it says, Tishalchenu chafshi, send him free. Chafshi, free. When the Jews went free from Egypt, that doesn't use the word chafshi. What word does it use? Anybody want to take a guess? Take a stab at it? Chorin, cherut. Cherut on the Pesach Seder, if that's the way they say it over here, and right? The Seder on Pesach, the Passover Seder, we say we're ben chorin, we go lecherut. What is cherut? What's the difference in Hebrew between chafshi and cherut? So in the English, they translate it the same, free, it's just a synonym. No. It doesn't work that way. The Hebrew tongue, the Lashon HaKodesh, the language of God, if there's 2 different words, they mean 2 different things. What's the difference between chafshi and cherut? So the sages tell us, and I'll paraphrase it in 1 sentence. Chafshi, when a slave goes free, he is free from doing. He is free from doing. He doesn't have to do anymore. He doesn't have to work. Cherut is you're free to do. Now you have the freedom to do. How many people are so, quote unquote, free in this country, but they're slaves to their habits? They're slaves to their temptations. They're slaves to peer pressure. They're slaves to, quote, what are my friends going to say? What am my family going to say? What is he or she going to say? See, freedom is not so much being free from doing anything you want. Real freedom from the Torah's perspective is that you now have the ability to really make the right decisions and to follow through to them. Everybody in this room, myself included, all have ambitions. We all have things we want to do. We all have things on our list, on our to-do list, things we want to accomplish. How many of them do we get to? Maybe 20%. I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, forgive me. We don't get to everything. What is the biggest cause of accomplishing what you really want to accomplish? The sages tell us it's called atzlut. In English, procrastination. Procrastinate. Making that call to your grandma who you know needs the phone call, but we keep on pushing it off because you're just not in the mood. Cleaning out the garage, even though your wife has been telling you for the past 3 months, Zevi, clean out the garage, I'll get to it, to procrastinate. You know, I want to learn what the rabbi has been texting me for 3 months. So I'll get to it, rabbi. You have my word. Next week I'll come to a class. We all have those things we deep down know we want to do, but we procrastinate. And here's the key. The real second rule to simcha, to happiness. What is the Jewish perspective of happiness? When a person is moving along the road, knowing that he's doing what he should be doing, accomplishing what he knows he should be accomplishing, that is the essence of real simcha. You know, a few days ago I saw my kid in my backyard. I've got a huge backyard in my forest. I've got my little brother-in-law in the back. I've been to my house a few times. I got this big backyard, and my kids, you know, it's amazing to see kids' imagination, that they really feel like they're building a house and a rocket ship with some logs and wood. And you see my kid in the 95-degree heat, he's busy schlepping logs and wood with his hammer and nails, and he's building and he's schwitzing and he's really toiling. And I go over to him, Eliyahu, are you really enjoying yourself? Are you happy? And he looks at me like I'm crazy. Of course I'm happy, Daddy. I'm building like, you know, a fortress. I'm building like, you know, a palace, or I'm building an airport. I'm like, but you look like you're working really hard and you're sweating and you don't look like you're really enjoying yourself. And I'm trying to give this intellectual class to a 6-year-old. Doesn't figure out. He's like, what do you mean? But I'm building a fortress. I'm building a palace. But Elio, you don't look like you're enjoying yourself. It's hard work. You're probably going to be Charlie horse, eating at scratch. I mean, wouldn't you rather just be on the couch in the air conditioning drinking lemonade? He looks at me like I'm crazy. And the answer is because when you feel you're accomplishing something, it's not the destination that's happiness. It's the journey that's happiness while you're doing it. You know, anybody ever go to the gym? Twice. Now, you have this guy that's working like a dog trying to bench 250, and he's sweating, and you take a look on his face, and he looks like, if you were never in your gym in your life, and you go to the gym and you look through a little keyhole, and you see this guy that his veins are popping out of his forehead, and he's sweating, and he has the big, would you think the guy is happy, or you think the guy is sad, frustrated? Then you open up the door, and you go over to him like, sir, what are you doing? He's like, I'm lifting weights. Why are you troubling yourself? It's a lot of work. You don't even look happy. You're sweating. Your veins are bulging. I mean, what are you doing? You're working really hard. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm working out. I mean, but why are you working out? This is so difficult for you. You're putting in so much effort. What's the answer? Because when you're working to accomplish something, the journey is the happiness. However crazy it sounds, he's not only happy after he gets that six-pack, fellas. He's happy while he's doing it, because when you feel accomplished and you're on the road that you know you should be on and you're moving along, that is the happiness. There's a big discussion here in America today about depression and anxiety, and every 4 of Americans, you know, suffer from it, unfortunately. And there's books written on it, psychologists. What is depression in a nutshell? If a person doesn't feel he's moving along the road that he should be on, he feels depressed. If a person feels that he's moving along the road that he should be on and he's accomplishing, he feels happy. And the biggest impediment to accomplishing is procrastination. Says the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, Al tomar kishe'efne eshne. Don't say, when I have time, I'll do. You're never going to have time. The biggest impediment to success is a person always procrastinates. And however crazy this may sound, tomorrow, wake up and make up in your mind you are going to do something meaningful even though you're not in the mood. Take something on that list that you mean to do or that you meant to do for the past 2 months. Whatever it may be, learning with the rabbi, calling your great aunt that needs a phone call. There's a million things that are on our list. Take something, and if you don't have a list, call me, I'll give you plenty of things to do. Use your imagination. There's endless of meaningful things to do. We're just not in the mood. And the biggest mistake people make is they wait for the motivation. You wait till you're motivated to do it. But let me tell you something. You ain't never gonna feel motivated until you start. If you wait for the motivation, it's not gonna happen. Kol hatchalot kashot, says the Talmud. All beginnings are hard. It doesn't say most beginnings are hard. Every beginning is difficult. If you ever think you're gonna feel just motivated to do something good, 1 in a million. Exercise number 2. Tomorrow morning, wake up, or tonight, before you go to sleep, set your mind to it, make a mental note. You are going to do something meaningful, even though you're not in the mood, very small, and then rate yourself. This is what I personally do. It personally works for me. Take it or leave it. I'm just telling you it works for me. I call it a procrastination chart. Zevi, what's a procrastination chart? Okay, I've got 3 columns. This is what I want to do. I really want to do this. I want to clean out my garage. I want to finish this tractate of Talmud. But the next subject is really, really tedious and it's hard. So I just keep on pushing it off. So what I want to do is on column number 1. I could email it to you, by the way, if you want. The procrastination chart. It's a life changer. What I want to do, column number 1. Column number 2 is you predicting from a level of 1 to 10 how unenjoyable it's going to be. 10 being the most unenjoyable, 1 being the least unenjoyable, right? So let's say I say I'm going to clean out my garage. Tomorrow, even though I'm not in the mood, it's going to be an 8, really unenjoyable. And then after you do it, go back and rate how unenjoyable it really was. And I guarantee you, the number is always going to be lower than the way you predicted it. So, advice number 2, rule number 2, fellas. What is liberty? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Liberty isn't just the American concept that we're just free to do what we want. It's freedom to be able to make the right choices and not being tied down by our habits, by procrastination, by whatever anybody thinks. If you're going to live your life, always be concerned about whatever anybody else says and trying to get everybody else's approval. What are we going to accomplish? So many times we procrastinate because we don't want to do this is because we're going to get judged by other people. Make up your mind to do something tomorrow or to do something once a week. Whatever it may be, use your imagination. Every fellow, every person, every guy and girl has their own personal way. Put it on your calendar. Once a week, once a month, once a day. I'm going to do something and pick a day. It's got to be solidified. Pick a day and time. I'm going to do this even though I'm not in the mood. Rate it and go back afterwards and see how terrible it really was. And the second tip, which works like gold, is make it little teeny little steps. For example, you want to clean out, I'm sorry for using this example so often. Cleaning out your garage, it's just personal because my wife has been telling me to clean out the garage for the past 3 months. You want to clean out your garage, right? Now, to clean out the whole garage is a lot of work, at least me. So you know what? I'm not cleaning out the whole garage. I'm cleaning out the back right corner of the garage. Small steps equals big feats. Corny joke, it's real. Small steps equals big feats. Meaning, if you want to really accomplish, don't make up your mind to do the whole thing all at once. You want to finish that tractate in Talmud. Don't say, okay, I'm going to start learning with the rabbi to fit. No, I'm going to learn 10 minutes. What, Rabbi? 10 minutes? 10 minutes. 10 minutes, that's it. One of the biggest tools the Yetzer Hara has, the evil inclination has, is he gets us to think that you gotta make those really big, bold moves. And sometimes it's just too much of the cake to bite. So rule number one, advice number one, tip number one is make up, put it on your calendar. I'm going to do something tomorrow at 10 a.m. or whatever it may be, even though I'm not in the mood. Tip number two, make it really small. Whatever that thing is, make it into small tasks. Right? So you have 10 missed calls that you got to return. How many of us have people that we ignore their phone calls and we just got to return their phone calls? Now, to make up my mind, am I the only one? Gewalt. Right? See, to make up your mind that you're going to start returning all your missed calls is a daunting task. Got to return. No. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm going to call back one person. One person. One person. And once you get into the mode of doing things that you know you're supposed to be doing, you'll see the happiness start growing. And it's going to take off like wildfire. Because the key to happiness, number two, is when you feel you're doing, when you feel you're on the road to what you should be doing. That experience is none like any other. In this country, not to put down, God forbid, what happiness is just getting away from things, getting drunk, getting roasted, forgetting about life. That's what happiness is. Partying to the extent that we just forget about our worries. Judaism is the exact opposite. When we become aware and conscious about what we're supposed to be doing and making a plan of how to get there, that's the way we get to simcha. That's the way we get to true happiness. So liberty is not just about doing whatever you want to do. It's being able to make the right choices. You know, it's not easy. How much time do we have, Nissan? Because I mean, we could schmooze till 12 o'clock at night if you want. Just a few more minutes. I'll wait. You know what I do in the other class? I'll just wait till you start throwing tomatoes at me. How's that? It's good. You know, Nissan, can I share the story that you probably heard 1,000 times that no one else in the room ever heard it? Adam, maybe Adam heard it. It's a story that I'm going to repeat. Must have been the 15th time saying it. You're laughing because you probably heard it too. But for me, it's a story that I tell myself every single day. Honestly, I tell it to my kids every Shabbos. And this is what really keeps me going to a certain degree. How many times in life do we tell ourselves, you know, I'm just doing the best I can. I'm doing the best. All God wants from me is to do the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not procrastinating. I'm being happy. And that, you know what? The truth be told, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says that's all Hashem really wants from you is to do the best you can. Lo alecha hamalacha ligmor. It's not upon you to finish the task. V'iyat Torah shali ibatel mimena, but you can't absolve yourself from it. You just got to do the best you can. And how many times do we tell ourselves we're doing the best we can? Anybody ever tell themselves, yeah, I'm just doing the best. I'm doing the best I can. Your mother tells you, just do the best you can. All I care about, I don't care what you do on the test, just do your best. Anybody ever hear the Klosenberger Rebbe? The Klosenberger Rebbe was a Hasidic Rebbe, an incredible Jew, who went through the Holocaust, lost his wife and 11 children, lost his entire family, lost his entire Hasidic following, thousands and thousands and thousands of his followers, completely perished. He survived. And he moved to Israel after the war, and he decided he's going to rebuild Klosenberg. He's going to build orphanages, he's going to build schools, he's going to build homeless shelters, he's going to build Torah institutions, he's going to build Bate Midrash, he's going to build synagogues, he's going to build shuls, which he all did. If you go visit Israel today, right out of Netanya, there's a beautiful community called Tzanz Klosenberg, a robust, beautiful community with chesed organizations. For those of us that built organizations, what do you need to build an organization? Money. So the Klosenberger Rebbe, who just lost a wife and 11 children and all his followers, decided he's going to start fundraising. So he came to America. And he found himself in the office of a fellow by the name of Mr. Sam Feurenstein. Sam Feurenstein, by the way, was quoted by President Obama in one of his State of the Union addresses a few years ago. He was a fellow that owned a lot of sweatshops, and he had a big fire, and he never fired any of his employees. Anyway, Sam Feurenstein was a Jew, very, very big philanthropist, and the Klosenberg Rebbe somehow got an appointment and found himself in the office of Sam Feurenstein. Nissan, did you hear this story? How many times? Good. And he is in this big office, mahogany desk. Mr. Feurenstein's there. He's like, Rabbi Halberstam, can I help you? And the Klosenberger Rebbe is a man. If he was 40, he looked 80. If he was 80, he looked 170. A man battered and torn. And he says, Mr. Feurenstein, I want to rebuild Klosenberg. I want to build schools. I want to rebuild orphanages. I want to rebuild Torah institutions. I want to rebuild children. I want to rebuild a Hasidic dynasty. Rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. And Mr. Feurenstein looks at him as if he's crazy. But he didn't say that. And he said, Rabbi Halberstam, you know, I'm going to do the best I can to help you. And he starts walking to his desk, takes out the checkbook, and the Rebbe says, wait! Mr. Feurenstein, before you write the check, let me tell you something. Before the war, I wasn't able to walk across the street to synagogue myself because my followers, my Hasidim, insisted on carrying me. The Rebbe can't walk. You got to take him by car. You got to, take him in his horse. I wasn't able to walk across the street myself. Not only that, I wasn't able to carry my tefillin by myself because the Hasidim, my followers, insisted that I carry it, that they carry it for me. I wasn't even able to carry my tefillin. But then the war came. And not only did I realize that I was able to walk across the street, I realized I was able to walk 10 miles. And not only was I able to walk 10 miles, I was able to walk 10 miles with 40 pounds of cement on my back. Mr. Feurenstein, I'm afraid you have yet to understand what it means to do the best you can. Now you can write the check. How often do we tell ourselves we can do the best we can? And you know what? That's all we really have to do. But we got to look ourselves in the mirror and ask that brutally honest question, am I really doing the best I can? We are all given God-given incredible talents. The Talmud tells us there are no two people in history that ever looked alike. Figure, 2 eyes, a nose, mouth, forehead, cheeks, chin, hair, for some of us. No one ever looked alike. No one ever will look alike. Why did God do that? No two people ever looked alike. Kishem shepartzufehem eino domot zu lezu, just like their faces never looked alike, says the Talmud. Kach deotehem, so too their tools, their wisdom, their way of outlook in life, and their abilities. Nobody has the same capabilities. Nobody has the same talents. Every single one of us has incredible talents. Some of them have been diminished by our parents saying, you can't, you're not for this. Our friends saying, you can't do this. Ourselves telling us, this is not for me. We put ourselves down. People knock our, and we become completely inconfident, and we're limited. My grandfather, who lived in my house for 5 years, used to say, if you eliminate these 4 words, these 4 sayings from your dictionary, you'll be far more successful. What are those 4 sayings? This is not for me. I have no time. It's for somebody else. I'm too busy. Eliminate those words. Don't let them exist. You'll be a lot more successful. Realize the ability that you have, the accomplishments, the talents, the tuchonot hanefesh. God gave us incredible talents to achieve and to accomplish and to change the world, and it doesn't always come easy. You got to do your best. Take a look at any successful person, Jew, non-Jew, in the history of the world. Anywhere from Abraham to Lahavdil Elef Alfei Avdalot, Nelson Mandela. No one ever achieved great things without moving beyond their comfort zone. It didn't happen. And the way to greatness, which is the way to happiness, is doing the best you can, but not convincing yourself you can do the best you can. Push yourself just a little more. Just a little more. Make up to do that thing that you've been procrastinating. Take the little baby step, whatever it may be. Make up to do it once a month, once a week. Not only that will that make you a better Jew, it will make you a happier person. You have my word money back guaranteed. Anybody ever in school over here in college and we decide to sleep in one day? You know, anybody, when I was in high school, you wake up, you decide, you know, I'm too tired, I sleep in. Again, I'm the only one that I've ever slept in, okay? Fine, I slept in. Now, how do you feel like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when you slept in and you were just a couch potato watching Netflix? How do you feel? Oh, come on, don't kill my speech. Really? We don't really feel good about ourselves. Okay, you're an exception, right? When we're couch potatoes and just sit there and just watch and just roll our thumbs on Facebook the whole day, it may be easy, but we don't really feel good. But when we work and wake up early and do things that are difficult and push ourselves, how does it, when you do something that you're really not in a mood of doing and then you decide to do it, how do we feel? You feel awesome. You feel great. You feel accomplished. And that mitzvah, goreret mitzvah, that enables you, that gives you the energy to wake up the next day and do the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. It's not the easy route that makes us happy. And it's not necessarily a difficult route, but when you push yourself and move yourself. I have people, you know, in my shul that I'm in, we don't have a rabbi yet. So I get someone, I'm involved in the shul, I get someone to speak after Shachrit every Shabbat morning. And I always go over to people to ask them to speak 5 minutes. And almost the identical response I get from 90% of people is what? Rabbi, I'm not a speaker. Who told you you are not a public speaker? Let's try to analyze that. Did your mom ever tell you that? Did you ever speak and just fall flat on your face? What compels you to say you're not a public speaker? Oh, so you don't have to awe the crowd? Oh, what you mean to say is that it's difficult for you to get up and prepare a speech and speak. Okay, that I understand. Let me tell you something. If you never do anything that's difficult, you're never really going to become great. Try it. I promise you, you're not going to fall flat on your face. The worst thing that's going to happen are people going to say, you know what? This guy was not as interesting as the guy that was last week. They're still going to love you. They're still going to make a l'chaim at the kiddush. But you accomplished a gold mine. You pushed yourself out of your comfort zone, so the next time you have to speak, you're going to be much better. And the next time, and by the 10th time, it's going to be nothing to you. We got to stop putting limitations on ourselves. We got to stop knocking ourselves down. We got to stop what people have told us in the past. You can't do this. This is not for you. I'm a parent of 4 children, and thank God, you know, I've read so many books on this, but a parent and the parents in the room, we are caught up in this rut. There's a fine line between, you know, chinuch, bringing up your children, and telling them what they can't do. The greatest gift you can give somebody, and for those of us that don't have kids in the room, you can give this to anybody. The greatest gift you can give somebody is the gift of confidence. John F. Kennedy, I'm sorry for speaking about so many presidents. John F. Kennedy was once asked, now the Kennedys, say what you want about them, they weren't the greatest Jew lovers in the world, but the Kennedy family was a very, very respectable family. Every one of them were successful people. They once asked John F. Kennedy, John, what was the trick your parents did? It just doesn't make sense. How were all your siblings so successful? Some of them presidents, some of them senators. What was the trick? And listen what he said. Wasn't sending us to the best schools. Wasn't making sure we got the greatest grades. He says, if I were to give a speech in front of 30,000 people, and in the middle of the speech, I would literally fall flat on my face. Literally. Embarrassing myself in front of everybody. Do you know what my father would tell me right after the speech? He would say, John, I never saw somebody fall so classy on their face. That's how we became who we became. You want to build people up, you want to build your kids up, you want to build your friends up. The greatest gift you could give somebody, compliment somebody. I know we talk about this so often. There's no such thing as too often. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Anybody here ever get a true, genuine compliment from somebody? Anybody? Just me? How did it feel? Mark Twain said he can live 2 weeks off one compliment. A real, genuine compliment. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. It's the greatest gift you could give somebody. It's the greatest chesed you could give somebody. You know, someone gave you some time, someone gave a speech in shul. Go over to the rabbi. We think rabbis don't need compliments. Trust me. Everybody needs compliments. When I get a compliment from a student after class, Rabbi, you should know that class really resonated with me. I appreciate you taking the time. That goes a long way. Your kids. You think kids don't need compliments? Oh my gosh, do they need compliments? Elio, you know, you got up this morning, you got yourself dressed like a man. I'm proud of you. You're awesome. You rock. That goes so much more than, why can you get dressed by yourself? Come on, you're 6 years old already. Daddy has to do it for you. Pointless. People are like corkscrews. Huh? People are like corkscrews. If you put a cork in an empty wine bottle, it's on the bottom of the bottle, right? If you fill it up with water, what happens? It starts rising. The more water you put in, the higher it rises. The more you build people up, the more you compliment people, the more you praise them, the higher they rise. It's like that with your wife, with your husband, with your kids, with your family. Instead of trying to change people, which we all try doing, try to change your wife, try to change your family, try to change your husband, try to change your kids, the greatest way to, never try to change people, but if you try to change people, compliment them. You want your husband to mow the lawn. He ain't doing it. Bob, I asked you 10 times to mow the lawn. Why can't you get your act together? Everyone else in the neighborhood mows their lawn. Ain't gonna work. People don't respond to criticism. For the wives in the room, this is what you say. Bob, what's a good Bukharian name over here? What's Boris. Do you know when you mow the lawn, the look of you mowing the lawn with your muscles bulging and the sweat coming down your face, and you're there mowing, you just look like such a rock star. And then the lawn is mowed after and it looks so beautiful. I love when you do it. Trust me, the next morning he'll be mowing his lawn bright and early. You want your kid to get dressed in the morning by themselves? You know, you're the one 6-year-old I know that's able to get dressed in 3 minutes or less. It's incredible. Trust me, the next morning they'll be getting dressed by themselves. So here's the key, fellas, rule number 3. Not only the greatest thing you can do for somebody, which is one of the greatest mitzvot, making another Jew happy, right? We know the famous story in the Talmud that this potential convert came to Hillel and says, teach me the whole Torah on one foot. First he came to Shammai, and Shammai says, get lost, I have no time for this. Came to Hillel and says, teach me the whole Torah on one foot. Hillel says, no problem, lift up a foot. What did Hillel say? Close. Beautiful. What you don't like done to yourself, don't do to other people. Which is even less of a level of do to others what you want done to yourself. That's already hard. Hillel limited it. He says, at least don't do to others what you don't want done to yourself. But if we take that the next step, the whole Torah, says Hillel. Hillel wasn't mincing his words. He wasn't playing games. This is Hillel over here. Hillel says, you want to know the whole Torah on one foot? Be nice to people. Is that not what he's saying? That's what he's saying. Let me tell you, the greatest gift you could give somebody, the greatest gift you could give your wife, your husband, your kids, your neighbor, the clerk, the security guard, is a compliment. And if not a compliment, a smile. I'm in a building in Manhattan every single Thursday. I know the guy by name, wonderful fellow African-American guy, Felix. Everyone just goes in there, got to get their meeting, take a picture. Everyone gives him like this, as if they're taking a mug shot. All right, I'm not here to brag. I'm honestly just sharing this to share with you. I made it that this guy, every time I go in, I'm going to smile at that camera. I'm going to say, Felix, how you doing? And then after a year, I finally got my card that I don't have to take a picture anymore. I could just go in. But I made it that every single time I'm going to still go over to him and smile. And I see when I walk in, the guy's light, his face lines up. 2 weeks ago, he comes over to me, Felix. Come into the building, he says, Rabbi, just come for a second. He says, I want you to know that every time you walk into the building, I become a happier person. You give me that smile that lights up my face. Then he said something shocking. What can I do to repay you? 810 7th Avenue. Go ask him. I'm like, Felix, one thing you can do. Take one person that walks into the building every day. Give him that smile. Say, how you doing? Not just, hey, give me your ID, please. Look at the camera, please. Doesn't cost anything. You're at Walmart buying some diapers or I don't know what. You take your receipt, you're just like, thank you very much, I appreciate your time. That lightens a person's day. So if you're not up to even giving a compliment, give the person a smile. I smile a lot. I just try to do it. You fake it till you make it. It just makes you happy. Some people, think you smile too much. They think you're suspicious. They think you're on drugs. You know what? I don't care. I'd rather them think that. It's just worth it. When you smile, the world smiles back at you. And the world. How many of us like being around people that smile? We just want to be around them. The people that, how's it going? Weather stinks. Everything's a problem. You smile. You compliment people. It can be the greatest mitzvah, and here's the trick. There's dividends too. Makes you a happier person. David HaMelech says in Mishlei, in Tehillim, my wife wrote me this, and with this I'll end, my friends. My wife wrote me a card before I got married. She's going to kill me that this is on video. But she wrote me a card before I got married, and she said something in that card that I'll never forget. And she quoted a pasuk in Tehillim with a beautiful insight from one of her teachers, and she said, one of the famous verses in Tehillim in Psalms, Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, which means King David is praying to God, may only goodness and kindness pursue me my whole life. Simply translated, what does that mean? Hashem, just make it that I should have a life of goodness. May goodness pursue me my whole life. But the deeper sources tell us none. There's a deeper meaning to that. Everybody is going to go through life by hook or by crook, like it, take it or leave it. We're going to have hardships. For whatever reason, we've got to go through some difficulties. David is praying, Hashem, make it that my difficulties should be other people's problems. That people should have to run to me for their advice, for their chesed. Make it that my difficulty should be taking care of other people's problems, doing chesed to them. May chesed and kindness chase me my whole life. So you get that phone call, Rabbi, can you help me out? Or you get the phone call, you have the family that needs an extra bug, or you need a place to stay for a night, or whatever it may be. Your classmate that needs some extra time studying a homework that we're just not in the mood. That's an opportunity. Grab it. If you can't grab it every time, grab it once a week. Because you have no idea how many times that will save you from other problems in life. So fellas, time is getting late. I'd love to stay here the whole night, but I'm going to start having tomatoes thrown at me. If we learn 3 things tonight, A, the pursuit of happiness is not a pursuit. Just change your glasses, change your perspective. Everything in life, every person in life, every situation in life, every job, every family, you can look at it with the right glasses and you'll see the goodness in everything. Or you can look at it narrowing, focusing on what's going wrong. If happiness is a pursuit, you will never get to the destination. Liberty is the ability to choose to make the right decisions. When you feel you're going on the right path and you feel you're accomplishing what you should be doing, you'll be the happiest person. The way to get there is take one thing, break it up into pieces, put it on the calendar, make sure to do it even though you're not in the mood. Do it. Don't procrastinate. And C, compliments are free and priceless. The greatest thing you could do for another individual is not buying him a flower, not buying him a gift. It's worth something. A smile, a compliment, a genuine a text message. We all have people in this room, every single one of us, that can leave this room tonight texting somebody, a genuine text. A text message with a real, genuine compliment. I just want to thank you. You've been an amazing friend the past 3 weeks. You helped me out a lot. I want to thank you very much, especially that advice you gave me on ... Whatever it may be, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, your neighbor, your friend, someone you don't know, someone you do know. You don't know how far that goes. It's free, it's priceless, it's the greatest mitzvah, and it will make you happy. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the Torah's way is the right way. And if you want to party, Tov Lev Mishte Tamid, this is the way to make your whole life as a party. My friends, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of what you make of it. That is Judaism in a nutshell. May we all be zochet to live a life of Torah, mitzvot, of halacha, which is not law, but it is the way to guide us, to get us going. We'll be better Jews, but more importantly, we'll be happier people. Have a great week and a happy July 4th. And there's nothing wrong with grabbing a beer and a few hot dogs too. All right?